Hello, welcome to another session of Microsoft Excel. In a previous session, we learned about how to sort data. Sorting data is very important when you have large sets of data and you want to be sorting out depending on, let's say, for a parameter like places, or depending if it's school, you would want it to be rank wise. You can go for an alphabetical, or you also can customize it as per your own requirement. Similarly, filter is also a very important function in Microsoft Excel. Filtering is a very similar thing when we say that we are filtering our data. For example, let's say if you have multiple datas on in a certain place or in a variety of places and you want to filter a selected part of it, filter function is something that you will be using in preparing and selecting that whole part of data. So let's understand how to do the selection part of the data. So today's session, we will be learning how to use filters. So let's begin our session for the day. So filter function allows the user to filter a range of data based on a certain criteria defined by the user. For example, let's say if you're talking about filter and you want to filter out uh, the number of people have got a certain product, right? So you will be filtering out that product. Now you might be thinking what happens to the rest of the sets of data. Well, fear not, your information does not get lost. Filtering is mainly used to focus attention on a specific part of the data. So we will be learning today how to use filter, right? And why should we will be using filter when we are working with large sets of data? So let's understand with examples of how to use filter and use case scenarios of where filter function should be used. So we will go back and let's open the Microsoft Excel document. Now you remember when we were working in this document, the one that we use it for the assignment purpose, that there are a lot of parameters. You see, one, there is a segment, then there is country, then there is the product, then there is a discount band, unit sold, manufacturing, and also there is sales price, right? Now, for example, let's say if you want to understand how do I use a filter in segment, right? So what you can do is select this column. Yeah. In the home ribbon menu, go to sort and filter. You see sort and filter here, and you can do filter. The moment you apply filter, see, you go and filter. So the moment I'll apply filter here, I get one drop down icon in the column itself. Click onto the drop down icon and you will see text filters. So by default, always, because there is so much of data, all the segments will be selected. What you can do is, let's say I just want to see how many small businesses. So you can select here and click on OK, and you will only get to see the sort a small business part of the selected part of the data. Now, what happens is you see here the rows have got hidden. So if I am just working on this data or I want to copy this data, I can do that as well. It doesn't mean that I have lost out on the data. It's just that I don't need the other parts right now. I just want to focus on the selected part of this data, right? What exactly happens is when you have larger sets of data where there is 200, 300, 400 sets of data which is being updated, there are times when you just don't want your team's attention to be focused on a certain part of the data. For example, here I just wanted to my focus on the small business part of the data. Similarly, I can also shift my focus to the fact that I just want to see, for example, if I go here and add filter, so let's say I want to select all of them and add filter, right? And let me select. So I can remove select all, which is by default, and select enterprise here. Go to the country and just select France, Germany here. And then I can keep on putting filter till I get that specific data. Now, the more filters you add in different segments, the more your data is going to get smaller because you're looking for a very, very specific part. For example, today, if I want to see what is the sales price or the manufacturing price, right, of the products, and there is a cap that I have used, let's say, for example, 120 here. Yeah, I would want to see all the products that has been manufactured with 120 bucks. Similarly, if I want to see the sales price, and each and every sales price differs, but there is a certain, you know, like in a lot of places, most of the product sales price is 75 rupees. Then I'm going to filter out the 75 rupees to see in which places and products have 75 rupees have been, the sales price of the products. So very similarly, you have to filter out till you get that selected part. Now, if you're thinking that you're losing out on information, no, you won't be losing out on information here. It's just that the rows and the columns, the rows get hidden because you're looking for a very, very specific set of data. And filters is something where mostly you know, it's your columns that you apply the filter on because you will put all your parameters here of that data, right? And the rows will contain the data that you require. So it is always better that you use filter function because if you are sending a larger Excel sheet to your team members, to the target audience that you would want, they might just get lost with whichever one. So even if you highlight it, still they're bound to get lost if you share the whole data with them. But let's say you filter this data out and select this only part, and then what you can do is select this part, Control C, say, yeah. So this is my selected part, right? And what I can do is select text. So you see, I have already got my selected part of the data. What I can do is I can even cut, copy, paste this and send it to the team member saying that this is the part I want to know what exactly is going on, right? So you see, only this part has got copied. I haven't lost out on any of the data. It's just that I have filtered that data for a very, very specific use. So anytime that you would want to filter your data, make sure that you're using the sort and the filter option. Now let's say, let me remove this. I'll remove this later. Let me go back to that. So let's say I want to go here and do select all and select all. See, now that I've got all of the data here, what I can do is, let's say I can put here in all of them filter. For example, let me do government. Okay. Then let me do select or I can do USA and I've put OK. And instead of doing this, then I'm going to put here. So I'm selecting filters on each and every column. Yeah. As you can see that my data has already decreased from where it was, right? The more filters you put, the more your data is going to get constrained and smaller. Now, here is the thing. Always use filters when you know that you are missing out on the most important part of the data. I know that we have learned about how to highlight cells, and if you can highlight the cells if you want to showcase something, that's always one way. But then you do not want your data to get missed. So let's say you want to know how much these products have sold out for and how many units, then you should make sure that you are looking at that data, and you know uh, you are looking at that data and making sure that this can be used for presenting, right? So let's say this is the data that you're looking for, you can filter it out, and you can always make sure that you can copy paste that data and use it somewhere else as well to show that this is what the condition is. Only that selected part will get saved here. The other parts are not going to be copy pasted when you're copy pasting the data, right? Now, once you go here, let's say you want to clear out all the filters, you can just clear, and you see all my filters will go because and then if you click on filter again, you see I don't have the filter option anymore. So if you do not have the drop down option, make sure that you are using the drop down option. Again, you select this part, go to filter, and you can filter it, or else you can select this part and click on filter again, and the filtering option will go, right? So just make sure that whenever you're using filter, whenever you want to filter out certain parts of the data and present it, use the filter option. Again, if you want to sort them, you can also sort them A to Z, Z to A, but make sure that you're using custom sorting, because what happens with sorting is, see, sorting is one of a value, right? It will only change that value because you have decided to sort that data out. Unless and until you are using a conditional formatting with your custom sorting, you won't be able to see the other rows getting changed as well. But for filter, that's not the case. In filter, whenever you're filtering one set of the data, the other sets of the data also gets impacted, and you can only see that selected filter part of the data in other parameters as well. You won't be able to see the other values. So the basic for sorting and filtering is filtering can affect all your rows and columns because you have filtered and selected a certain part of the data. Whereas for sorting is only column wise. So you have to make sure that you are using conditional formatting while sorting, because you would want to show that this is the thing that I have already sorted, this is the result, and you have custom sorted it out so that you can see results based on the sorting that you did. So this is all about sorting and filter.